Abby Petersen adjusted her navy blue JROTC uniform for the third time since boarding American Airlines Flight 257. Her 14-year-old frame carrying the poise and discipline of someone far beyond her years, shaped by a life spent on military bases as the daughter of Captain James Petersen, a fighter pilot in the United States Air Force. "Would you like something to drink, miss?" asked the flight attendant with a warm smile. "No, thank you," Abby replied politely, tightening her uniform tie again. It was her first time flying alone, and while a buzz of nerves trembled beneath her surface, her pride in wearing the Junior Reserve Officers Training Corps uniform steadied her. The Boeing 737-800 hummed steadily toward Colorado Springs, where her grandmother awaited her, a reward from her father for scoring the highest marks in her school's history during the Flight Simulator Championship. Years of patient training with her father had made her a skilled virtual pilot. Her room in San Diego covered not with dolls or fashion posters, but with model aircraft and images of fighter jets. While others her age scrolled through social media, she devoured technical flight manuals, one of which she now opened on her tablet, her eyes scanning every detail with practiced focus. Sitting beside her, a middle-aged man noticed her engrossment and leaned slightly closer, intrigued. "Do you like airplanes, young lady?" he asked. Normally shy around strangers, Abby's passion for aviation overpowered her usual restraint. "Yes, sir. I want to become a military pilot like my father." The man smiled and adjusted his glasses. "Richard Thompson, retired air traffic controller," he introduced himself, extending his hand. "It's rare to see someone your age reading Boeing manuals for fun." Abby shook his hand, curiosity sparking in her eyes. "How long were you a controller, sir?" 25 years in Atlanta. I retired last year," he replied, then glanced at her uniform. "If I'm not mistaken, you're a JROTC cadet, correct?" Abby's face lit up. Finally, someone who recognized her uniform for more than just a costume. "Yes, sir. Second year in the program. My father says it's a good start for those aiming for the Air Force Academy." For the next half hour, Abby absorbed Richard's every word, as he spoke of emergency situations he had helped manage, impressive flight maneuvers he had witnessed, and crucial air traffic protocols. It felt like a private lesson from someone who had truly been there. "You know more about flight operations than I did at twice your age," Richard remarked. "Your father must be a great mentor." "He is," Abby said with a smile, remembering the countless simulator hours, the way he corrected her pitch, guided her altitude, and explained everything from wind compensation to stall recovery. "He always says the sky doesn't care about your age or gender, only your knowledge and judgment." Richard nodded approvingly. "Your father is a wise man." As a flight attendant came by offering snacks, their conversation paused. Abby accepted a lemonade and turned to gaze out the window, watching the white carpets of clouds drift beneath them. It was peaceful up here, just like her father said. "No matter how chaotic the world seems," he always told her, "above the clouds, there's clarity." "I need to use the restroom," Abby said, standing. "It was a pleasure meeting you, Mr. Thompson." "Likewise, Cadet Petersen." As she walked toward the rear lavatory, she passed two teenagers, about 17, whispering and laughing while pointing at her uniform. One of them sneered, but Abby lifted her chin the way her father taught her. "Never let them see your doubt," he'd say. After using the restroom on her way back, Abby noticed two flight attendants near the galley speaking in hushed, urgent tones. Their faces were pale, tense. "Both unconscious. We need a doctor immediately," whispered the older one. "And if there isn't one on board?" asked the younger, clearly distressed. Abby's curiosity ignited instantly. "Excuse me," she interjected politely. Is everything all right? Both women turned abruptly, forcing strained smiles. Of course, sweetheart. Everything's under control. Please return to your seat, said the senior attendant, whose badge read Kate. But Abby had grown up with a military pilot for a father. She knew the signs of a real emergency. It's the pilots, isn't it? She asked directly. The flight attendants exchanged alarmed glances. Please return to your seat, Kate repeated, now more firmly. My father is an Air Force pilot. I know planes. If something's wrong, with the pilots, I might be able to help, Abby insisted. A moment of tense silence followed. Kate, what if, began the younger flight attendant. No, Melissa. She's just a child, Kate cut her off. Abby squared her shoulders. I'm not just a child. I'm a JROTC cadet, and the daughter of Captain James Petersen. I've spent years in flight simulators. I know the basics of navigation and landing procedures for a 737. If both pilots are down, you need all the help you can get. Kate hesitated, clearly torn between protocol and the desperate reality. How much longer until arrival? Abby asked, already calculating in her head. About 30 minutes, Kate replied. Is the autopilot engaged? Yes, but eventually someone has to descend and land. Abby took a breath. All the training, all the discussions with her father, everything led to this moment. I need to speak to the control tower, she said with resolve. And we need to find Mr. Thompson. He's a retired air traffic controller, seat 14C. As Kate led her toward the cockpit, Melissa sprinted back. Kate, it's getting worse. The first officer stopped breathing for a moment. We revived him, but he's unstable. That sealed it. Come with me, Kate said, ushering Abby forward. Along the way, she briefed Richard Thompson, who immediately stood and followed them. Inside the cockpit, the sight stunned Abby. The captain and first officer, unconscious, oxygen masks on, their faces pale. A flight attendant trained in basic medical care monitored their vitals. We suspect poisoning, she explained. Weak pulse, dilated pupils, shallow breathing. After they were moved out of the cockpit, Abby approached the controls while Richard checked instruments. The plane is on autopilot, following the preset course, he confirmed. But we need to contact ATC immediately. Suddenly, the teenager from before appeared at the cockpit door. What is that girl doing in there? He scoffed. Is this some kind of joke? Please return to your seat, said Kate firmly. My father is a lawyer and on the airline's board, the boy protested. His name, as Abby would later learn, was Tyler. You can't let a child fly this plane. Richard spoke up. Young man, I am a retired FAA air traffic controller, and we are in an emergency. Please step back and let us do our jobs. Tyler gave Abby a scornful look. This is insane. She's wearing a school costume? It's a JROTC uniform, Abby corrected calmly, taking the pilot's seat. Now please, let us focus on saving your life and everyone else's. Reluctantly, Tyler was escorted away. Richard donned a headset and contacted air traffic control. Control, this is American 257. We have an emergency. Code 7000. Both pilots are incapacitated, likely poisoned. I'm a retired FAA controller, and we have a qualified assistant on board. He avoided mentioning Abby's age. The response was swift. American 257, maintain altitude and course. We have you on radar. All other traffic is being diverted. Are there any licensed pilots on board? Negative, Richard said. Our assistant has simulator experience. A pause. Understood, 257. We'll guide you step by step. Remain on autopilot for now. Abby scanned the instruments, identifying each control. They were familiar from simulations, but now they pulsed with real consequence. 142 lives depended on her. "We can do this," she whispered. Over the next half hour, she and Richard worked closely with ATC, preparing for the moment they would disable autopilot and take manual control. Kate calmly informed passengers, downplaying the emergency, while stating that qualified individuals had taken command. Most remained calm, but Tyler and others who'd seen Abby enter the cockpit stirred unease. "They're letting a girl fly the plane!" Tyler shouted to anyone who'd listen. To quell the panic, Kate took to the intercom. "Ladies and gentlemen, our pilots are unwell and receiving medical attention. We are fortunate to have a retired FAA controller and the daughter of an Air Force pilot in the cockpit. They are working with air traffic control for a safe landing in Denver. Please remain calm and follow all crew instructions." In the cockpit, Abby felt the weight of responsibility. Her father always said fear was natural, but pilots turned fear into focus. "American 257, Denver approach here. We're ready for your arrival. Begin descent in 10 minutes. Confirm readiness." Richard looked at her. "Ready?" Abby remembered every simulated landing, some flawless, others chaotic. "I'm ready," she said, adjusting the seat. "Denver, 257 ready for descent." The next 20 minutes were the most intense of her life. With constant instructions from Denver and Richard's guidance, she began the descent, adjusting nose pitch, maintaining 280 knots, setting flaps to position 1. She followed every instruction precisely, her eyes darting over instruments. When the time came to switch off autopilot, her hands trembled. "You've got this," Richard said. "Breathe. Focus on the instruments." She disengaged the autopilot and felt the aircraft come alive under her hands. It was different from the simulator, heavier, more responsive. But she connected instantly. "American 257. You're on course for runway 16 right. Continue descent. Speed and altitude look good." Through the clouds, Denver's lights emerged. "Lower landing gear," ATC said. Abby did, feeling the thud of deployment. "Gear down and locked," Richard confirmed. "Flaps full." The runway drew closer. Abby corrected gently for crosswind, keeping aligned with the center line. 33 seconds to touchdown, came the call. Her heart pounded. The outside world vanished. Only the aircraft and the strip of asphalt ahead mattered. The plane bounced slightly, then settled. Abby activated reverse thrust, gradually braking. "Speed good. Keep braking. You're doing great. 257. Finally, the plane rolled to a stop. Silence filled the cockpit. "Denver, American 257 is on the ground. Request immediate medical for pilots." "Copy, 257. Emergency crews en route. Excellent work." Abby released the controls, her hands now shaking. She had done it. Landed a Boeing 737 with 142 souls on board. Applause erupted in the cabin when Kate announced the landing. Though passengers didn't yet know who had landed the plane, their gratitude was overwhelming. Emergency vehicles surrounded the aircraft. Paramedics rushed in. FBI and FAA agents began questioning passengers and crew about the poisoning. When Abby stepped out of the cockpit, exhaustion and relief washing over her, the passengers broke into cheers. Tyler looked stunned, unable to meet her eyes. "Is she the one?" people whispered. "Did that girl land the plane?" News spread like wildfire. Reporters crowded the terminal. "How did you stay calm?" one asked, thrusting a mic. "I just followed my training," she replied. Then she saw a familiar figure, her grandmother, Martha Petersen, rushing forward. "Abby!" she cried. They embraced tightly. "Your father will be so proud," Martha whispered. "So proud." A respectful FAA agent approached. "Miss Petersen, we'll need your statement when you're ready." Abby nodded. Tyler came over awkwardly. "I wanted to apologize," he said. "I was a real jerk. You saved our lives." His father extended a hand. "My son learned a valuable lesson about not judging others. Thank you for your courage." Abby accepted with a nod. Suddenly, excitement surged at the terminal entrance. The doors burst open, and a man in Air Force uniform ran in. "Dad!" Abby cried, racing to Captain James Petersen, who had arranged an emergency flight upon hearing the news. He embraced her tightly. "You did it, little pilot. You really did it." Investigations revealed a neurotoxin had been mixed into the pilot's water, an act of sabotage by a disgruntled catering employee who was arrested days later. In the weeks that followed, Abby was honored by the FAA, the Air Force, and the White House. She was conditionally accepted to the Air Force Academy once of age and invited to elite training programs. 6 months later, she received the Air Force Civilian Courage Medal at Petersen Air Force Base. "Today, we honor not just an act of bravery," said General William Roberts, "but the power of preparation, determination, and refusing to be limited by others' expectations." When it was her turn to speak, Abby looked out at an audience of pilots, service members, her family, and the passengers of Flight 257. "People asked if I was scared," she began. "The answer is yes, but my father taught me that courage isn't the absence of fear, it's acting despite it. We all face moments when others say we're too young, too inexperienced, or simply not enough. In those moments, we have a choice: believe them or prove them wrong." She glanced at Tyler, who nodded solemnly. "I didn't choose the emergency, but I chose how to respond. And that's a choice we all have, every day." That evening, Abby and her father sat on the porch of her grandmother's home, gazing at the stars. "You know what I learned?" she asked softly. "What, sweetheart?" he replied. "That sometimes we have to prove our worth to others. But the most important thing is never doubting it ourselves." He smiled and wrapped his arm around her. "That, Abby, is what separates great pilots from mere plane operators. And you are already a great pilot." They watched as a plane blinked across the sky, a reminder of the day a young cadet found her wings. "They said I was too young to fly. Dreams too big for my wings," she thought. "But I've trained since I could walk. When storms come without warning, courage finds its meaning." 2 years later, Abby sat in the cockpit of a military transport aircraft circling a crisis zone, her young co-pilot tense beside her. "Remember," she said calmly, "fear is normal. Courage is flying anyway." Everyone knew her story. She had become a symbol of resolve and spirit. As she landed the plane on a dusty strip, and aid workers rushed to unload supplies, she realized the sky was not the limit, it was only the beginning.